All right, we're learning daily dose of Pesukim of Bitachon by Rabbi David Sutton, chapter 50, long-term investment. Okay.
That's so funny because I just listened to a story that
about long-term investing, huh?
Yeah, basically about commitment. But I'll share it in a little bit.
Well, there you go. So it's a Tehillim, always referring back to the Tehillim, right? V'ata ma kiviti ad Hashem tochalti lecha hi. And now for what do I hope? Oh Lord, my longing is to you. So, what do we hope for? The list is long. We hope for good health, for marriage, for parnasa, bracha, shefa, success, honor, and to be in a comfortable home. Community, a good community, to have loyal friends. We hope for all this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And sometimes, it's even more than that. Or we might say, Hashem, make sure that this deal happens. I need this deal to take place. Or make sure that, we have, when I go on vacation, it's not raining, it's going to be good weather.
I hear those stories all the time.
Or there's an event that I'm hosting, make sure that it doesn't rain.
People show up.
Exactly. I have to I'm late to my meeting. Can you clear the traffic? By asking this stuff, we obviously we're in connection. We're recognizing that Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, is in control of all this stuff, right? And we hope that what we need and what's important to us is also important to Hashem, right? And typically, once we get on the road, or once we have that event and it doesn't rain, we're like, okay, it's right. Worked out. So, in this pasuk, when it says "Tochalti lechahi," my longing is to you. When he's saying my longing means constant. We hope that Hashem is not just giving us those temporary satisfactions. It's not just giving us those things that are, okay, I just need for today. That every time I'm going to go to work, I won't have traffic, so I have more time to work. Every time I have an event in my house, or I'm hosting, that I'm going to have beautiful weather. That's the longing. That's what we're the hope for, right?
And the only way to get that is if we commit to Him.
Right. 100%.
And with that, I got a quick story.
Yes, go ahead.
So there was actually this young student, and his mom said, listen, I have a deal for you. If you finish the whole shas, I will get you whatever you want. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, great deal. She's like, okay, well, what do you want? He's like, I want a car. So she's like, okay, what kind? He tells her what kind of car he wants, and she says, you know what? Because I know you're going to commit, I'm going to get you the car. Once you're about halfway in. So he learns it about halfway through. And one day he's driving, and unfortunately there's an animal in the middle of the road. He swerves, and he gets into an accident. And unfortunately, he didn't make it.
Oh boy.
But the amazing part about it is that when you commit to something, even if you didn't finish it, Hashem sees that you completed it. So they say at his funeral that he went to Shemayim, learning Shas, and he already completed it. He made his commitment already because he committed every day, and it's very sad, obviously he lost his life, but he lost his life completing what he wanted to do because he committed. And when you find something that you can commit to every day, God forbid something tragic happens, Hashem sees it that you already completed it because you're doing it every single day, and you're saying, Hashem, I'm going to do this. This is my commitment. And I didn't know that. I thought, you have to finish the book to finish the book. But if Hashem sees that you're committing, it could even be a little thing, like every day, I do one aliyah, every day. And some are very small, but I commit every day. So I've learned that Hashem sees it, that it's like you finish the whole Torah, because you're committing every day to do an aliyah.
Incredible. It actually reminds me of the story that I heard a story around that there was a guy, a couple that had unfortunately somebody who was deaf and also deaf and blind, and they brought this this child to, went to the synagogue on Yom Kippur. And on Yom Kippur, boom, he started the prayers and gone, died, out. And they didn't understand what's going on, what's happening. Turns out, it's a long story, but he was, this was a gilgul, that he had to come back in his life to repair something. And he came back that way. And from what we learned from this is that people actually who are autistic or come back deaf or blind or have these issues,
you get that last thing
they come back in this world as a gilgul. When they go to Shamayim and they're asking to come back to this world to complete their mission on earth, they want to come back this way. Why? Because if they're blind or they're deaf, they're not going to see all the craziness. They're not going to have sin. Their neshama is going to be pure on this earth until they can complete what they're doing.
Amazing.
You think sometimes you say, oh my God, that poor person, you can't see or you can't hear. But if you take it that way and you understand that he might be a gilgul, he might come back into this world knowing that I don't want to see the shtuyot. I want to be blinded from all this craziness. And I'm going to come to do my mission and listen. Let's say, listen to the Torah, listen to what I need to
I was talking to my wife about, children with disabilities, how whether it's Down syndrome or autistic, that I've met some who you see them davening in shul, and it has so much meaning to them. They're so committed to every word.
It's pure also.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
that's all they know.
Yeah, it's all they know.
So we all want Hashem's blessing in our life, and David Melch expresses this in a pasuk. From a different parak, it says, "Achat she'alti me'et Hashem, ota avakesh shivti bevet Hashem kol b'chayim." We know this pasuk, right? One thing I asked of Hashem, that I shall seek, that I dwell in the house of Hashem all the days of my life. This is an amazing statement that in the Sefer Tehillim has a chapter after this, a chapter filled with requests of Hashem. They're all subsets of the greatest longing that has existed in human beings from the beginning of time, to experience Hashem's presence. That's what we're asking for, that's what we want to long, that's what the longing, right? Tochati. And Tochati is not only for connection in this world, it's also to be bound to Hashem forever, not just in this world, but also in Olam Haba. How many times could you say, Hashem, I want to stay connected to you, I want to be with you, but also in the next world? We don't think about that.
No, you're right.
We should start thinking about that. We should start asking and remembering that every single day, when I leave this world, I want to be as close to you as I feel now. I want you to keep me as close to you as possible. In Mesilat Yesharim, it's written, man was created solely to delight in Hashem and to take pleasure in the splendor of the Shekhinah. The place in which this delight is truly realized is in Olam Haba. But the path that leads to that runs through this world.
So on Shabbos, Dr. Brown, this woman who came to visit Young Israel, kind of in short spoke about a way to get a little more connected to Hashem and not get distracted by everything else that's out there. So she said, one day she took a pile of stuff and she said, does this give me a spark? No, get rid of it. Does this give me a spark? No. Until she eventually got used to saying, these things I don't need. These are points. These are going to get in my way of getting close to Hashem and focusing on the things that are more important.
Amazing.
That was a nice idea. It's whatever works for you.
Exactly. So this is, actually, 1 second here. Okay. So, to continue, this is a crucial piece of information for us to absorb, knowing that we are involved in a long-term process to help us plow persistently and patiently through these setbacks. And this is the mentality of this long-term investor, right? Somebody who's in Bitcoin. He buys Bitcoin, he's huddling, he's long-term. I want to 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I'm long-term investing for decades. Putting in the investment now, planting the seeds so that they can grow, and I see my the growth of the fruits of my labor, right? The person who knows how to do long-term investing, when the market's going like this, right, it doesn't really affect him so much because he's in for the long run.
Yeah.
He knows that even if there's a big drop It's okay. It's going to come back. It's going to rebound. And he knows that there's going to be bad days, but there's going to be very good days. And long term, he knows where it's going. Okay? So imagine you had the same attitude with life. We already gave the example of Rosh Chodesh with the moon. We know the moon's coming back next month. So imagine the same thing. We compare our life to the way we invest in the S&P 500 for 20 years from now. Right? If we were able to think it long term like that, we know that everything we're doing, okay, we might not see results right away. It might be next year. It might be in 5 years. I'm planting the seeds. I'm working on myself, and essentially, what the end result is not just what we're going to get out of this world. It's also planting the seeds and preparing for the next.
You have to go the way, because not everything is instant. That's just being realistic.
Exactly. It's a plan. It's preparing for a long-term investment, which is essentially what Olam Haba.
Yeah.
And by then, when you reach Olam Haba, Hashem, when you get to that point, you're going to feel very rich. Look at everything.
Everything you need will be there.
That's why we need to increase our Torah. We need to increase our mitzvot. We have to do everything now, because when the Mashiach comes, and you're going to be asked, what have you done? Do you want to come with your pockets empty? Your pockets full.
That's why we have to remember that every mitzvah counts. There's no mitzvah that, you know what, that one's not so important, that one's not so important. I'll wait to do a bigger mitzvah. Every one counts. We need every mitzvah.
Exactly. We know that it's only for Hashem. So small problems disappear because they're insignificant. Larger problems, as difficult as they are, become a vehicle for coming tighter to Hashem and adding to this portfolio that awaits us with Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Agan HaSaar is a sefer that writes about the life of Rabbi Avraham Genachowski, a gadol, a dor who gave shurim in Shivas Cheben in Yerushalayim. It contains advice that he had received from his mother. Anytime he goes through a non-major crisis, he should imagine that it is 10 years later and he's looking back at this situation. How would it appear to him, that situation? We could try to do this ourselves. And imagine it's your son's bar mitzvah, you go to the airport, and you forget your son's passport. Now, think about that same boy, son of yours, that is in 10 years from now getting married. Under the chuppah, you think you're going to be thinking about the passport?
No. It might make for a good speech, though.
It's going to be relevant, right? So, and eventually it works out. Maybe you weren't supposed to be on that flight. Maybe the next flight you get bumped up to business class. There's always things that come up to work out. So David Melch is teaching us in this pasuk how to put things into the correct perspective in order to fulfill the hopes that we have. And all these little details that we come across, and all these little challenges and issues, is essentially get us closer to Hashem, right? And all the stuff that's setting us back, that's giving us difficulty, it's making it hard for us, is what's keeping us. It is what's actually reminding us to pay attention to, so that we can focus on understanding what the long-term objective is, right?
Yeah.
So, recap. The hopes with which we turn to Hashem are many. There's many ways, and all of them are fragments of the overall goal of longing to come to Hashem. Remember, longing to come to Hashem, that's the goal. And when we see that all these little setbacks are just little pieces of the path to get to the bigger picture, the better future, the closest to Hashem in Olam Haba, right? And it becomes a lot easier to handle. If I told you that you're going to retire in 5 years because you're going to make so much money, but you're going to have to do this, and you're going to go through that, and go through this, like, the path would be so much more clear to you. You'd be like, okay, I get it. This is all part of the plan. So you do the same thing. Tell yourself, I'm there already. I know I'm going to get there. I know I'm going to succeed. I'm going to be successful. There's a path I have to go through. We all have
But also
our paths.
that mindset's going to help the future, our children, their children, to see that if they see that our connection to Hashem is going to make things smoother and, make us have a better mindset moving forward in our life, they're going to be like, I want to do that.
Right. And also they're going to be able to get themselves potentially out of a disaster when something bad happens. They'll know that it's part of that pathway.
Correct.
Right? The pathway to longing, that we're talking about. Amazing.
That's
Okay. Let's keep working at the path.